Yo! Today I want to talk about my first powerlifting meet, which I just finished about a week ago on September 13th. And man, did I learn some stuff. I understand that not every one of my subscribers is interested in powerlifting, but it's just kind of something I want to talk about anyway, so I mean, it's my channel, bro. In this video, I'm going to be talking about things that I had questions about going into my first powerlifting meet. Primarily things like how equipment check goes, the flow of the meet, weigh-ins, diet day of, commands, starting weight, and just the vibe of the powerlifting meet in general. Obviously, I'm no pro, but if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. And even if I don't know the answer, someone else might. And then they'll answer your question instead, I would hope. I will be glossing over most of these topics, so if you want to hear a more in-depth version of any one of them, then let me know that as well. So my equipment check was done on the day prior to the event. And basically during it, you have to give them everything that you would wear during the meet at this time. And I'm talking about the singlet, your underwear, your shirt, belt, shoes, and they make sure that it's all within regs. But it's also a great opportunity to familiarize yourself with the power racks they use at powerlifting meets. It's a little bit different than something like this because it uses leverage and pins to adjust the height per lifter. It's a pretty quick adjustment compared to something like this. And this is the time you would be figuring out what your height is for squat and bench. It was my first time with the rack, and so I actually got some help from other competitors that were there, which I was glad to see because there's a lot of talk online that everybody at powerlifting meets are kind, or most of them are. And so I was glad to see that they are, because even though I wasn't the only one with nerves, other people were still helping me out with it. So the flow of the meet day of would be the weigh-in window first, which was 7 to 8:30 a.m. And then after a little bit of time, the meet started at 9 o'clock, starting with A flight. From what I saw online, there's normally a list of the order the participants would go in for weigh-ins. But for this meet, I don't know, it was just first come, first serve. So I got there at 7:15, I was done by 7:35. My goal was to get under 110 kilograms, which is around 242 pounds. As you guys may know, I don't know, I've been trying to lose weight to get under that threshold for this meet. And when I got weighed in, the scale was like crazy accurate, but I was 110.05, and I'm talking like 2 ounces. I was less than 2 ounces away from my goal weight. So the staff that was weighing me was essentially like, all right, man, whatever you have to do to get under 110, I'll let you do it. And so like, he was essentially like, if you want to go to the restroom real quick or spit for a few minutes and then come back, go ahead. And so I was just like, okay, I mean, I kind of did need to pee, so like, I just went real quick, came back. The scale was teetering, man, but 110 on the dot. And so that's what he wrote down for me, and barely made the weight category, which is unfortunate. I wanted to definitely be in the weight category, but you know, I made it, all good. So I was still unsure if we were like allowed to leave after weigh-ins, but I asked the meet director like, hey, I'm flight C, when do we start? Because I was unsure like if it's A, B, C first attempt, or all of A's attempts for squat, then B's, then C's. I was unsure. She essentially said like, oh yeah, you know, flight C, you probably have until like 10:20. And it was like 7:30, so I was like, cool, we could go have breakfast. I didn't want my family to starve because I didn't know how long the meet would be. It was like 8 hours from 7 till 3, so crazy. But we went and had breakfast. I don't know, it was probably nerves. Like I'm a big eater, got a big appetite, you know, so but even still, I couldn't eat breakfast. I only ordered 3 breakfast tacos from the place we went to, and I only had 2, and I had to like force down that second one. So, but I did manage to finish my overnight oats protein shake that I made right before that breakfast. So could have been that. I don't know. So we went and had breakfast, came back, and it was around 9 a.m. We were about a couple participants into flight A, and the way the meet goes is that flight A will do all their attempts for squats to begin. So it'll be flight A person 1 does their first squat, 2 squat, 3 squat, and then goes all the way down. It was like 14 competitors per flight. So, and then they do their second attempt, still flight A, then their third, and then we proceed to flight B, first, second, third attempt, then flight C, first, second, third attempt, all for squat. After squat is done, then everybody does the same thing for bench. Then everybody does the same thing for deadlift. So because I was flight C, the meet director she definitely knows her stuff, because I didn't start until around 10:20 a.m. It seemed like with 14 participants per flight, it was around 45 minutes per flight to do all their attempts for each lift. So there was 3 exercises, 3 attempts per exercise, and 3 flights. The whole meet really did run until 3 p.m. like I said. So diet day of is extremely important for the meet. Just what you're eating for that day, which I knew going into it, but you know, Rice Krispies and candy really is the move for most people. That is not a regular part of my diet, and they do say that you shouldn't stray too far away from your norm. So I just stuck with my overnight oats and my small breakfast of my couple of egg and cheese tacos. But with how long the meet actually was, you really should bring like snacks to eat throughout the day. I don't know, like I said, maybe nerves, but I was not hungry like the whole meet. And then afterwards we were planning to go to a buffet anyway, so like I was good for that whole day. Commands, dude, practice commands. The order of the lifts, like I've been saying, is squat, bench, deadlift, SBD, like that brand. Squat has 2 commands, squat and rack. Bench has 3, start, press, and rack. And then deadlift only has 1, down. There is also a command that I didn't really know about, where you wait to go onto the platform until someone says bars loaded. Which then gives you a countdown of 1 minute to complete your lift. And I never needed that 1 minute. I don't know, time just flew by, so I was like, you don't need more than a minute, for real. But anyway, back to the lifts. For squat, I only had 1 accepted attempt. And that was because I kept screwing up the commands. I kept readjusting after they already gave the squat command, or I racked the bar before they said the rack command. But staff kept giving me pointers after each lift saying like, hey, that was a great lift, great form, whatever, but you just gotta hear out commands. And I tried, you know, but like, at least I got it once. For deadlift, and I know I'm going a little out of order here, but for deadlift, 9 white lights. All 3 attempts were perfect. So that was like the highlight of my day. But for bench, I bombed that bro. Which leads me into weight selection. When you are picking your first attempt and you have to like submit that during equipment check. So you submit your first attempts, they have to be in kilograms, whatever. But you have to make sure that it is something you can definitely do. Like a weight you can do on your worst day, you know? I thought I could do 295. Every time I attempted 315 for the past few months, I've been able to do. Except for one time after I already attempted 315 that day. So I was like, 295 in the bag. So I picked 295 for my first attempt with the full intention of going up to 330 pounds for my third attempt. Nope. First attempt, 295 came down. Press, could not take it off my chest. And already then, that weight was locked in. Whenever you pick your first weight, if you attempt it, then from then on, you cannot go lower than that weight. So I was stuck at 295. For my second attempt, I was following commands, press, it came halfway up, and then it was coming back down. So, couldn't do it. I don't know, like, was it a bad day? I didn't feel like it, but you know, it could have been I could give plenty of excuses, but you know, all in, I didn't do it. So I need to work on that. After I finished that second attempt, I went up to the booth where you would give your next attempt, and they were essentially suggesting that I scratch for my third attempt. The way they explained it to me was that you'll be taking a 0, but all your other lifts will still count. Whereas if I failed my third bench attempt, none of the lifts would count towards my record, I guess.
Whatever this is,
It's going on your permanent record!
So I just ended up taking the loss for the bench. So definitely pick a weight you can do, for sure. You can change your first attempt after submitting them, as long as you don't try and actually attempt that weight. So I learned my lesson with bench. I was a little less confident going into deadlifts, and I had it changed from 210 kilograms, which is around 463 pounds, and changed it to around 405 pounds instead, which I know I can do for around 6 to 8, depending on the day. And because I changed that first attempt, that's why I ended up with 9 white lights for that lift. It was 405, easy. I think I went up to 435 and then 468 pounds. So 9 white lights. I could have done more, but man, like that bench just made me like not confident at all. So maybe I reeled back too much, but it was my first meet. Now I know for the next one, which I'm sure to do at some point next year, I think. As for how the venue was, I would say that my gym's is probably a little bit cooler, but it was a really cool powerlifting gym. Everything was blacked out, the machines looked cool, everything was pushed to the side to make room for an audience. It didn't seem like there were quite enough chairs because they also scheduled a strongman meet at the same time. That wasn't too smart, but whatever. And initially the AC was blasting, and I'm sure it was blasting all day, but it got hot in there. And then the warm-up area, which was like to the back of the gym for all the powerlifters, stinky, bro. Like, makes sense, but dang. And so I always just kind of like came back and sat with my wife and my mom, and like, I don't know, it was all right. A little crowded, kind of hot, and you know, it took forever. It was actually so hot that when we finally left, it was like 3 o'clock, and I mean, we're in Texas, so 3 o'clock, around 93, 95 degrees out, I think, and it felt better outside than inside. So if that's to say anything, then like definitely bring tons of water, I guess, to the meet, and just be prepared. Maybe even bring like a couple of those collapsible chairs. I would do that next time, but like that was a venue. During it's fine. Like you like your nerves, your energy is just kind of, you don't even really notice that stuff, but after the fact it's like, dang, that actually kind of sucked. So, but you know, whatever, like that environment just comes with the event, I'm sure. So I'm glad that I went to a powerlifting meet. It's definitely something I think anybody that's interested in lifting should experience at least once. I think one of the things was that I did want to perform my best that day. So I did train harder than I normally would, because as I'm just like chugging along, I'm not really focusing on getting stronger. Like, I'm almost lazy during my workouts, but because I had an event, a competition that I was gonna be in, I did push myself more. I, pushed my limits more. I tried different things, and I do think that it made me like a better lifter just going to my first meet. However, because I did try so hard and I was almost a little bit overconfident for that bench and then didn't get a bench at all, I was a little disappointed with that. And I still am a little, like, I just did a bench day yesterday, and I was pushing. I was like, next time I'm not gonna be fail. I'm gonna get something on the board, So I'm glad that I went to a powerlifting meet, and I am for sure gonna be signing up for another one. Is it something that I would suggest to other people? Yeah, I think so. Because, it made me want to push myself further than normal. And here I am, 31, doing my first powerlifting meet. Most of you seem to be around my age, maybe a little older. I don't really get a young audience. So, I mean, don't injure yourself for sure. But I do think it's something that most people should do. Most lifters should try. So if you haven't done one yet, I mean, for me, it was like being in front of the crowd was the biggest thing that stopped me from going. I think starting a YouTube actually helped with some of that anxiety. But even while there, I honestly didn't even really notice the crowd during my lifts. I'd be like, so for squat, I'd just be like looking up, trying to push through. Bench, I'm staring at the ceiling. And then deadlift was kind of same thing. I'm just trying to like boop, almost closing my eyes, trying to listen just to the commands. I didn't really hear cheering. I was just like focused on the staff that was giving commands. So I don't know. I mean, it's a whole different zone. I would definitely suggest it for like anybody that wants to do it for sure. Will I be doing more powerlifting content? Maybe. I kind of just do content that I want to do, mostly reviews of equipment, so maybe, I don't know. I mean, it's Porky's Powerhouse, so the Powerhouse includes gym equipment and it also includes freaking power. All right, so subscribe and leave comments if you're curious about any of these things, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, stay hungry.